What up, ladies and gentlemen? Thank you guys for clicking on today's video. I'm super excited for what we have for you guys today. We're going to get into it with Lauren Wilson. He is from Telios Consulting, and he is a tax professional. And we're going to get into the difference between Harris and Trump. Dun, 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 dun.
Woo! Dun, 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 dun. Heck
So,
yeah.
welcome, Lauren. I want to thank you for coming on the podcast. We got 4 people watching right now.
Let's go.
And so I'm going to turn these comments on. Go ahead and put your comments on here. I'm just going to ask everyone to be respectful, regardless of who you like or who you're voting for. We want to get into the nitty gritty of what's going on with the economy. I am a small business owner. I run a ministry, and we're opening up a new business, Knockout Fitness. And I want to make sure that we are prepared for whatever happens in the White House. And so that's why you're here.
Heck yeah.
We're going to talk a little bit about it and the concerns with what people should know about the taxes and policies. Because unfortunately, I watched the debate.
Yeah.
And it was, I personally didn't think it was Trump's greatest performance. I did think that Kamala performed better the first time in her entire public life. But I didn't think she had any substance to what she was saying. And I've seen some of her policies from before, and they're pretty much Biden's policies. Is what I've gathered from the website. They finally put it up. But Trump, I mean, he's been talking about the same stuff since he was in office. And I personally, now ask yourself this question. I personally had better, my economy, my personal finances were better under the Trump years, and my taxes, everything, versus now. And you're going to explain a little bit more why that was, and what would happen if Kamala's policies will go into play.
Yeah. No, thanks, Jacob. So a little bit about my background before we talk.
Yeah.
So I was a fitness trainer and a fitness coach for about a decade. I was a small business owner myself, and I was running through all the different layers of tax that is out there.
Yeah.
And so right now, a lot of people, when they hear the word tax, they think of everything that we're doing every single April. We're filing that tax return. So every single April, that's just income tax. We also have payroll tax, which is going to be Social Security and Medicare. We have sales tax. We have property tax. There's a lot of different taxes out there. And so after I was a small business owner, I decided to go back to school. I got my master's degree in business administration from Texas State University in San Marcos. While I was there, I was elected as a future Texas Business Hall of Fame business legend. So for all my contributions to the local Austin community, I was helping teachers and nonprofits get more healthy and expand their mission. And then I also got a master's degree in accounting. And so I got passed all 4 parts of the CPA exam. I had an internship at Ernst & Young, which is one of the big 4 public accounting firms. Less than 1% of people that apply for a job at Ernst & Young get jobs there. And so I feel fortunate to have that. So that's my background, and that's who you're listening to. But my heart is with small businesses, and my heart is with everyday people in general. And a lot of times when we talk about taxes, I just want to put this out there first. It's just way too complicated. It needs to be simplified. The income tax code alone, we talked about all these different types of taxes. The income tax code alone is over 80,000 pages long, right? And you have TurboTax convincing people to do this on their own.
Yeah.
When CPAs go to school for 5 years, have to pass 4 4-hour exams, and then apprentice for over a year to get a CPA license to do this. And when you hear these things in the news about these corporations not paying taxes, or these wealthy people paying lower taxes, that's all politics and that's all rhetoric. But at the same time, that's because they have an army of CPAs that understand the game of taxes, right? And so how can a small business owner, how can a personal individual, an everyday citizen also participate in this game fairly, because from a theoretical standpoint, taxes make sense.
Yeah.
Okay, we need a defense budget. We need military. There needs to be some layer. All this other stuff, it really comes down to, at the end of the day, your worldview on, do you trust the government to take care of you, or do you want to take care of yourself at the end of the day?
Yeah.
And so with all the complicatedness, we were even talking about this before we got on air. Which philosophy do you follow? Is the money better in your pocket, or is it better in the pocket of the government?
Oh, that is a good question. And guys, while he's talking, don't forget, we are live. We can put you can put your questions in the comment section, and I can relay those real time.
Let's go.
So I personally think I could do better with my money than the government. What do you guys think?
Yeah, 100%. Like I said, I think on a defense budget and protecting the people from that perspective, I do believe in some sort of social net of some kind for people that kind of lose their jobs. But personally, I believe that should be as local as possible.
Yeah.
That way, you know my philosophy. I believe it should be the local communities and the local cities deciding kind of what that looks like. And it should be as little interference from the federal level as possible from a tax perspective. And so again, when we hear all this rhetoric, understand that it's very complicated. We have a lot of sources that we're going to go through and kind of read, but I think it can all be simplified to which tax plan keeps the money with who, what is your worldview, and which one do you think is best. And so did you want me to dive into
that's going to be really important, I think, for this coming election.
Yeah.
Because what I hear you say is that we, the common people that haven't gone to school for 7 years for tax for tax laws and accounting, really are not getting the full truth of what people are promoting on social media, on television, on the news. Those are just little highlighted headlines
100%
that get us emotional. And we're making an emotional decision without having the actual logic to make an informed decision that's going to affect us in our pocketbook.
100%.
And so that's what we want to talk about today, and the importance of what you get rid of the personalities of who is on camera. Yeah. And whether it's on this channel, whether it's Trump or Kamala, get rid of the personalities. Let's talk about how this is going to affect my family, my pocketbook, my business, because that's really what I have to live with. And I don't care, Trump, Kamala, whoever's in office. What do I need to do to be successful with my money? You know what I mean? And price of groceries. I mean, my wife and I have worked very hard financially. We were in a spot before the pandemic. And we were, we bought an acre of land and all this stuff. And then everything just seemed like it exploded. And all of our plans went out the window. And we sat down. So just for those who are watching, I sat down with Lauren just a couple of days ago. And he said, man, the government loves you because you're paying way too much. Yeah. And so that's because not all of us have someone like you that can say, hey, wait a minute. This is what everyone sees. This is what everyone doesn't see. And this is where they're hurting you. And so guys, if you have questions, put them in the comments for your own, for your money, for your taxes, for your income, whatever. We can answer those now. But thank you, Lauren. So yeah, let's get into this.
Yeah. So the biggest changes. So Trump's Tax Cuts and Jobs Act that was passed in 2017 was the largest tax legislation passed in over 3 decades. And so the source for that, we have the New York Post right here. That's what they're saying, right? Over 3 decades. So that just shows you, okay, we have complexity, over 80,000 pages of tax code. And then to even get anything changed is a game of politics. And so that the reason that Trump could even get anything changed was a huge deal. And so what did that do? And then that's one complex piece of the puzzle. Then I heard you also talk about inflation. Yeah. And we can get into what that means as well. But what did Trump do for the everyday person? So he simplified it in terms of the standard deduction. He doubled that for everyday people. So what does that mean? So when you look at your tax return, the Form 1040, you have your wages from your W-2 job, or you have all your different types of income. What the standard deduction is it's the first so many thousands of dollars that you earn is tax-free.
Okay.
And so Trump doubled that
Wow.
right away. He did take away some other things so that because if you don't take the standard deduction, you might have to itemize.
Mhm.
And so if you have an itemize on Schedule A, you either get one or the other. So many thousands of dollars are tax-free. He simplified that and said, hey, enough of this complexity, searching for all these weird deductions. Like you just said,
Yeah.
you don't know. You're not a tax professional.
Yeah.
You would need a tax professional to really do a lot more research, and the probability of you finding those deductions on a Schedule A are lower just
Yeah.
because there's more steps involved. So he
Gotcha.
said, no, let's just double it. So that was one thing for the everyday person. The other thing is he raised the child tax credit, right? So you get $1,000 for a child. He raised it to $2,000. And then, so that's a dollar for dollar decrease in your tax bill.
Wow.
So
okay.
there's tax deductions, which lowers your taxable income. So
Mhm.
let's say 100,000 minus 10,000, you're only taxed on like 90,000. And then there's the tax bill itself, and a credit is a lot better because it's a dollar for dollar reduction in your bill,
Mhm.
right? So that's the child tax credit, and he made more of it refundable, which means if you go into the negative tax bill where you get a refund, some credits aren't refundable, which means the government won't send you a check. He raised the cap on it being refundable for having kids. The other really big thing that he did for small businesses was called the QBI deduction, or qualified business income. And what that did is he said the first 20% of your business income is tax-free. And that was
Oh.
one of the biggest changes in his tax legislation, so much so that even my understanding is Kamala said, we're not going to get rid of that, because if we do, that's going to hurt small businesses a ton. And I have CNBC right here in front of me. It says the end of this tax break could be very disruptive to business owners, and this is what you need to know. And they said that small businesses, when the first year it went into action in 2018, about 18 million small businesses used it. Now, close to 26 million small businesses are using that QBI deduction. So that's an increase of 8 million small businesses, almost 50% more small businesses. And I don't know about you, Jacob, but I personally believe, yes, corporations can have their pros and their cons, but I believe in the small business owner in their local community that knows the person down the street who's hustling and giving it their all
Yeah.
to do that. And that's the biggest benefit. And just the increase, you have more people getting out there and trying to live the American dream by being a small business owner because of this tax legislation.
And what I hear you saying too is this is all past tense.
Mm.
These are things that
Yeah.
Trump had already put in place. And we saw the results of that in our pocketbook. We also have seen the results of the Biden-Harris administration these last 3.5 years. And there is a little bit of a difference. I believe that you have to be completely disassociated with reality to say
Yeah.
that there was no economic difference between the two. And one thing that I thought was interesting, I thought I heard Kamala blame Trump for handing over a bad economy,
Mm.
but really there was something that happened in the world that actually shook everything.
Mhm.
And before that happened, the economy was thriving.
Yeah.
Economy was great.
Yeah, so let me dive into that a little bit more. So the other big, I wanted to talk about the common everyday person first, and then the small business owner. The other big tax legislation was Trump cut the corporate tax rate from 34% or so down to 21% flat rate. And he made it a little bit more simple, and he incentivized for corporations here in America not to have all these tax loopholes through offshore accounts. He had a one-time fee for corporations to bring their money back to the United States. And we hear the word corporation as if it's some evil entity with its own soul.
Yeah.
A corporation is everyday people working at it's everyday people working at Apple. It's everyday people working at Amazon, and having the money here within our borders for those people, that's going to help increase wages and everything else. So let me slow down for a second. Going back. So what does the Harris and Biden party say? Their whole thing is, if we cut taxes, which I have it right here in front of me from CNN.com, more than $3.4 trillion in individual income and estate tax cuts. That's from CNN. That's how much money we saved as taxpayers from CNN.com. The name of it is,
and that was under the Trump administration.
This is Trump.
Okay.
Yeah. So this is the name of the title. This is from literally June 27th, 2024. Very recent. CNN, which we can all agree is left leaning.
Yeah.
Right. And they don't even understand what they're writing. This is what it says. $3.4 trillion in individual tax cuts are expiring next year.
Oh.
Biden and Trump would handle it very differently. I don't know about you, but $3.4 trillion is a lot of money in our pockets.
Oh, yeah.
That's how much it benefited the everyday person. And that's what's on the table. But the counter from the left is, oh, without the tax revenue, we're going to go into a deficit. And so again, it comes down to your general philosophy. The government needs to cut the spending, not take our money. Let us stimulate the economy. But then they're like, oh, that causes deficits, that causes inflation. But let's go to this other source here. This is literally from the budget committee, budget.house.gov. We talked about this off air. This is from May 9th, 2024. And so, they said if we cut taxes by $3.4 trillion, that's going to hurt the economy. This is from budget.house.gov. Despite CBO's predictions, Trump tax cuts were a boon for America's economy and working class. And it said, hey, if we don't have these taxes, the economy is going to hurt. Again, from a government website, tax revenue is going to go down. No. When money comes here, corporations and small business owners and individuals want to work harder because we're not de-incentivized. If I work my butt off to give it away 50% of it, what do you think I'm going to do? It's like I'm not incentivized and I'm going to try to cheat. This is what it says right here. The truth is, the Trump tax cuts resulted in economic growth that was a full percentage point above CBO's forecast, and federal revenues far outpaced the agency's predictions. In fact, and hear this part, under Trump's tax policies in 2022, tax revenues reached a record high of nearly $5 trillion. And revenues averaged $205 billion above CBO predictions for the 4 years following the implementation of the law. And so, all these people have these predictions, but it's all politics. At the end of the day, where is the money? Is it in our pockets or is it in their pockets? And then this is literally from the government website. All their predictions were wrong. It actually stimulated the economy just how Trump thought. And that makes sense. He's not a lifelong politician. He doesn't live in fantasy land. He lives in the real world with real people doing real business. And that's how the real world works. You incentivize us to work hard and keep our money. We're going to stimulate the economy. We're going to work even harder. That's what the American dream is. The American dream isn't work and give all my money to the government who I don't know, so they can do whatever the heck they want with it. Who knows what they're doing, sending it off to foreign countries without us even asking. Now they're trying to put someone in the White House who we didn't even vote for through conventional methods. They just chose her and they want to take more of your money. And that's what it comes down to at the end of the day for me.
Yeah, absolutely.
No,
dude, this is good stuff. So I was just talking with a lady from I think she was a Dutch. She was visiting the United States, and she was asked because she's from another country, right?
Yeah.
And so she's seeing it from an outsider's perspective, and she was asking. She was saying, okay, she goes, what problem with tariffs? She goes, what we're hearing is if Trump puts tariffs in, it's going to destroy your economy. And she's like, do you know anything about that? And so do you know a little bit about the tariffs and what that would cause to the economy?
Yeah. So tariffs have been used all throughout history at different points in time. And again, there's different philosophical worldviews on tariffs. So there's two things. One is we used to have a lot of things that were American made.
Yeah.
Right. We used to have Detroit. We used to make things here. We used to have nice, awesome blue collar jobs where people could work here, raise a family, afford a home, and live a good life. Sometime after World War II, we decided to have an international economy, which did have global wealth, but it changed the philosophy on economics. And so pretty much what we started to do is we started to have these complex supply chains and go where the labor was cheapest. And we started to hurt the people here. And so what it is it's literally so much cheaper to hire someone in China, ship the goods on a boat using gas than it is to pay an American worker. And that's because that's just how cheap the labor is there. But because of the complexities of international supply chains now, we're tied together. Right. China owns a lot of our debt. We own some of their debt. We have all these different trade laws. We're kind of married to each other in a way.
Wow.
And so what Trump was saying, though, is, hey, yes, we do need each other. You need our dollars. We need your labor. However, you're cheating the system and you're artificially keeping your prices lower on your labor and on other parts of the supply chain. And you're taking advantage of us in a way. And so what the tariff is doing is he's trying to make it more expensive for them so that they kind of have to like reinvest where their money is going in the way that they make money in terms of their like just labor pool and where the investment is going in terms of technology and what industries they're investing in, right?
Yeah.
And so we can agree we probably need to build our own military equipment.
Yeah.
We need to build most of our technology and we need to have some of our manufacturing. And so that's just a strategy to make certain goods and certain things that are coming from China a little bit more expensive so that we can compete at the level of labor. And so what Kamala and Biden are saying, though, is this is like, she kept throwing out the word, this is a sales tax. It's going to increase the price of goods, which it's not. What Trump is trying to do is he's like, hey, you need us more than we need you. And so you're going to play by our rules.
Like a businessman. He's taking control of a table.
Exactly. He's trying to tip the balance of power in terms of just what they're trying to do in terms of they're controlling the global supply chain. Because we don't want China, it was what they're doing in Africa is they're going over there and they're pretty much enslaving them right now.
Wow.
They went over there, they gave them a bunch of loans that they can never pay back. The governments in Africa are just pocketing the money and then they're pretty much making all the goods. And that's what's going on is this power concentration where China wants to be the supply chain for the entire world.
Oh, dang.
Right?
Yeah.
And so that you can see where there's a problem with that.
Yeah.
And so these alliances are forming because if you have an economic relationship, you're most likely going to have also a wartime relationship. And so there's a lot more at stake than just it's very, again, they're just simplifying it to the point and trying to use rhetoric to scare you. They're like, oh, it's a 20% sales tax and you're going to pay more on all these different goods. No, it's a lot more strategic than that. It's on certain goods.
Yeah.
And it's to put the power back in balance with us. And it's to take power away from them, making these alliances with these different countries on that side of the world.
I think that's really important to know because you're sharing stuff with me that I had no idea. And so when I hear Trump say certain things, you're kind of putting some more meat on the bone for me because now you're saying, oh, this is just more than just tariffs. This is taking back American control of the economy and then putting other countries back in their place and saying, hey, let's have a relationship where we both benefit versus one person dominating in the relationship financially. And so another question I was thinking of was I heard people talking about the tax the tax increase that Kamala wants to put in place for businesses that have over $100 million in assets or revenue, and they were saying, "Oh, it's just the rich that are going to get taxed, right? And and the middle class are going to do better." But when I hear a major corporation getting taxed, what I hear is that there's going to be the bottom line that gets cut. That there's going to be a fluctuation somewhere, because I've heard famous billionaires that have these huge companies say, well, if I'm just going to get hurt here, then we're just going to have to cut 20,000 jobs. We're just going to have to move around some things, and then I'm going to get my whole team of tax professionals, and we're going to shift some things, and the people that do get hurt are the people that were working for the company or the middle class. And you're like, wait a minute, that's not good. And so I don't know if I'm seeing it wrong, or is there something different that she's proposing with this tax increase for the ultra rich 1%.
So again, it comes down to worldviews and to philosophy. So I'm going to try to just present information as unbiased as possible here. But she's saying that she wants to raise the flat corporate income tax rate. I have it here from NewYorkPost.com from 21% to 28%. And so my understanding is their pushback on cutting back the corporate tax rate was corporations just bought their own stock back. So they went out to the shareholders and bought their stock back to artificially push up stock prices, right? So it's a game at the end of the day. So with that, again, it comes down to, did wages go up? The wages went up, and we saw the numbers. The economy went up. There was $5 trillion more in economy. We had a $3.4 trillion in tax cuts. So again, I love the question, but it's all a complicated game. And to your point, rich people and corporations, they have CPAs. This is literally what they do.
Yeah.
And if you're going to raise it, the reason that Trump cut it and then gave the one-time tax fee for people bringing their money back from overseas, they're just going to put it back overseas.
Gotcha.
They're going to figure it out again.
Yeah.
That's what wealthy individuals do, right? And these people in power, they're a part of it too.
Yeah.
They're wealthy too. They're just wealthy from politics, not wealthy from the real world, wealthy from business. And they're writing the tax code. Again, it's 80,000 pages. With all that COVID legislation was passed, with all the PPP funds and stuff, they were sneaking in all kinds of stuff. Like if you own so many horses, you got a tax break. Who owns a bunch of horses? Rich people and corporations, right? So it's like, at the end of the day, rich people and corporations, they have a team of lawyers and a team of CPAs. That's their entire job. And they get paid a lot of money to figure out how to lower their corporate tax bill. So it comes down to philosophies. It comes down to worldviews. And so for me, when I think through it logically, a corporation is a entity that gets its funding from the people. That's what a shareholder is. We can go right now, get on an app and buy a share of Apple and own a piece of Apple. We can do that, right? That's part of the American dream. That's what makes America great and awesome, is we can do that. With that said, the corporation employs a lot of people. It employs janitors. It employs people who do the laundry. It employs people at all levels. It employs accountants and employs salespeople. And a lot of people don't realize that C corporations, so that's what Microsoft, Apple, Amazon is, there's a double taxation on it already. We're talking about corporate income tax rates right now. Then if the shareholders get paid out with dividends, that's taxed again after.
So people don't really know that.
They don't know that.
Okay.
Double taxation. So the profits themselves are taxed, and then the dividends get paid out, and then they're taxed again on your personal tax return. Right. And then she also wants to, and she's saying it's just on the wealthy and everything, but I just don't trust these people. They want to raise the capital gains tax rate. So, right, let's say you buy a share of Apple, that share goes up in price and you want to sell it. That's already a tax advantage for you. It's already lower than the income tax rates. They want to raise that rate too on your investments. So not only do they want to raise your taxes on the money you've earned with your hard work, now they want to raise the money on your investments into your small business and into other large businesses.
Yeah. Yeah.
That doesn't make sense to me.
Just being a small business owner, I grasp some things.
Okay.
And if from this whole administration, even from before, I didn't truly believe what they were saying about their taxes and what they were trying to do. I mean, and really it comes down to the last 4 years of Trump's administration and the last 3.5 years of Kamala and Biden's economy. Which one was better?
Mhm.
And there's a reason for it. And this is what I don't understand is what is going to make people think that the next 4 years under the Kamala economy is going to change. Because I would rather, and I was just talking to somebody about this the other day. I said, we know the policies that Trump had because he's already done it and he's proven it. We know what the last 3.5 years has produced.
Mm-hmm.
Why would I want to believe or lie to myself that it's going to be different under their administration versus different under the Trump? You know what I mean? I don't understand where people are what they're seeing or what their process of thought is.
Yeah. So my understanding, and just trying to think through it logically, there is a good point to make that there is lags in results of decisions.
Oh.
And so what Kamala and Biden are saying is, not only did we have the unprecedented COVID, where we did print off a bunch of money, which led to high prices, they're saying that Trump's tax cuts needed 3 to 4 years to see what the actual results were going to be. So yeah, at first there was a lot of benefits, but now there's not. So they're playing the blame game. But again, the own government website, which they're in charge of now, my understanding, said that it did better than predicted. Right.
Okay,
so that's why I kept going back to that, is they're using all this rhetoric to try to confuse us. Their own website, their own people who, unless they can't control them, said that it did better than that. So going back to inflation, my counter to their point with the lag in results, it's, you've had 4 years.
Yeah.
You need another 4.
Yeah.
Gas was the highest it's ever been. Prices for food was the highest it's ever been. Yes, let's say you were handed an economy, right? COVID was over 2 years ago. So you've had 2 years of like non-COVID stuff to fix it. And I don't see it trending back in the direction where we're going to have more money. And I don't believe that raising taxes is the answer.
Yeah.
Everything's more expensive as it is. Rent is higher as a part of our disposable income. Food is higher. Everything we need, gasoline. And that's the other thing that they play around with the inflation numbers. They're like, it's only 8%. It's only 10%. Yeah, if you look at all of the goods across the whole economy, but there's something called the basket of goods, the necessities, rent, food, gas, all of that stuff's over like 50 to 100% higher.
Oh, damn.
Over the last 2 years.
Yeah. And we're feeling it.
Yeah.
We're feeling it.
Yeah. McDonald's used to be $5. Now it's like 20.
Yeah.
That says McDonald's. I'm trying to eat healthy, watch the figure and everything. So, so that's a more important indicator, is that CPI, that basket of goods that you have to pay for. And I don't see that reversing. And I personally don't believe them taking my money and trying to create some more complexity to all the laws is going to help the situation. We had talked off air a little bit about the healthcare and that tax. Did you want to kind of go into?
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's do that. So the other thing that happened under the Tax Cut Jobs Act, the other big issue is health insurance. And I don't claim to be a health insurance expert. I just know under Obamacare, there was a penalty if you didn't have health insurance. And what if you couldn't afford it? You're already paying rent. You're already paying all these other things. If you couldn't afford health insurance, you got penalized and taxed even more. Trump got rid of that. He said, hey, it's your health. You're an American citizen. You're free. You can decide what to do. If you want to buy it, cool, whatever. Now health insurance is out of control. But one of Kamala's tax hikes was the Medicare tax. And so that's what you were kind of like talking about off camera before we went off. And I'm trying to find the original source. So if you want to maybe talk a little bit while I try to find the source, we can look into it.
Yeah, go for it. Go ahead.
Okay.
And guys, go ahead and leave your comments. This is some good stuff. Lauren, you are amazing with the information that you have, and this is an opportunity for those who are watching to ask some questions, and we can get those answered right here on the air.
Got it. Yeah, thank you for that. So yeah, I found it right here from taxfoundation.org. Harris supported a version of Medicare for All, financed by a proposed 4% tax on incomes above $100,000.
Oh, wait. What was that?
Harris supported a version of Medicare for All, financed by a proposed 4% tax on incomes above 100,000. So another 4% tax. Don't we already pay for Medicare?
Yeah.
Aren't we already like in a deficit because we don't know how to manage the budget for Medicare?
Yeah. And so that's on the middle class.
That's the middle. $100,000. I think if you have a household income with 2 people, I don't want to discredit everybody, but yeah, that's not a whole lot of money.
No. $100,000 5 years ago was more than $100,000 is right now.
Yeah, 100%. And so yeah, that's a proposed. That's what they support. So and again, this is from taxfoundation.org. Like I said, we already pay. So again, income tax, Social Security and Medicare tax isn't even a part of that. You're already paying a 7.65% tax on most of your wages to fund Social Security and Medicare. And all small businesses are also matching that. So the Social Security and Medicare tax, also known as FICA tax, also known as payroll tax, is a 15.3% tax. Small business owners are, as employees and as employers, are responsible for all of that. And she, right here, it says taxfoundation.org supports a proposed 4% tax on Medicare for All when we're already funding it and they're not even balancing the budget. That makes no sense to me.
No.
So, hey, here's your money. You're already spending more. So I should give you more? You can't manage it.
No.
They wouldn't do that for us. They would call you crazy. If I went to my friend and was like, yo, hey, I got this idea, but I spent more than it and it didn't work.
Yeah.
Give me more.
You'd be an idiot. You would be an idiot. So what is going on with the American people that they keep doing this?
Yeah, it's... So again, I know I keep coming back to it. I keep repeating it. There's a lot of complexity. Over 80,000 pages. We got income tax, Social Security tax, Medicare tax, tariffs, corporate tax. We got all kinds of crap going on. Health insurance tax. Don't even get me started. We also have unemployment tax that small business owners have to pay. There's so much going on. It always comes back to what Jacob said. What are prices? What is your lifestyle like? Is the money better in your pocket or is it better in their pocket? And the research shows, if I go to our other source here, let me try to find it here. It's which one puts more money in your pocket at the end of the day. And so this is from cbpp.org, Center on Budget and Policy Priorities. This is a left-leaning article. Let me just read the title. 2017 Trump tax law was skewed to the rich, expensive, and failed to deliver on its promises. So that's what I'm saying. Even different divisions within the government use different titles. We had the budget. The House was saying, this is awesome. They're saying, no, this was terrible. But if I go down to their own chart.
On that same page.
On the same page, it's saying households with, this is the chart, figure 1. It says households with incomes in top 1% benefit most from 2017 Trump tax law. And so what this is saying is, if I'm reading this correctly, and you can read it too, maybe we're reading this correctly, because now there's this part, average federal tax change 2025. It's saying that the middle of it, that we had about $900 to almost $1,700 more in our pocket for those making between $53,000 and $153,000.
Wow.
That's their own website where they're biased. So I don't even really trust them. But even they say that we had
more
another $1,000 in our pocket on average. And so I mean, It's not like a ton,
Yeah.
but even from their own bias figures and their own bias title, they're saying we had $1,000 extra in their pocket.
Yeah.
But it's better with them if they had it, so they can do what they want with it rather than we can do what we want with it.
Yeah.
That doesn't make any sense.
No, that doesn't make any sense to me either. And I feel that if a big corporation is making money,
Mhm.
right, that engine is making money, it's stimulating the economy.
Yeah.
Because of all the employees that they hire.
Yep.
And then if the employees are getting tax benefits and write-offs that are beneficial to their family,
Mhm.
that stimulates the economy. And
Mhm.
if big corporations are doing well, then little businesses are doing well also.
Yeah.
Because now you got people that are employees that now have resources to buy from smaller businesses.
Yeah.
And it just is a ripple effect that
Mhm.
helps everything. So I'm not against big corporations making money, and I'm not against small businesses making money. I feel if they both make money, we're all making money. We just got to navigate through it wisely. And we're all responsible for our own economic financial situation. You know what I mean? Yeah,
Mhm.
there's going to be things outside of us that make it difficult, but we all have to be educated somewhat to make informed decisions, especially like for this election. So that way, our decision is really going to affect our pocketbooks.
Mhm.
So let me ask you this question: what if Kamala gets in office and I don't understand all of her policies because she hasn't been super clear on it, but some of her policies that she's proposing actually gets put in. What will happen to the middle class? Because I think that's who we're really talking to. Those who are watching this channel, that are going to be watching this channel, are small business owners and the middle class. What happens to us if she gets in and pushes her policies?
Yeah, so that's going to be a multi-layered answer here, and again, trying to be as unbiased as possible.
Yeah.
So this is from taxfoundation.org, and the name of it says, "Where does Kamala Harris stand on taxes? What has VP Harris proposed in the past? How do her past proposals compare to the Biden-Harris administration?" And so we're going to try to sift through this as much as possible. And so they keep saying that this just came to my heart and mind. They keep saying that his Trump's tax cuts were so bad. However, they haven't made an official decision on that 20% QBI that we talked about.
Mm-hmm.
And this other article from CNBC, it says the end of this tax break could be very disruptive to business owners, experts say. What to know. And that article is from July 16th, 2024, CNBC. I would say they're kind of more left than right. They're saying if that's not extended, that could kill small businesses.
Wow.
And so the other thing that Trump did was to I think we need to take just like a pause and explain kind of the players within the economy and how the money system works, because a lot of people don't understand it.
Mm-hmm.
So you have the Federal Reserve, which is supposed to be a non-biased, non-governmental agency. They control the supply of money in the economy. They give the money to the big banks such as Chase, Wells Fargo, Bank of America, and they have something called a reserve ratio. And so what happened in 2008 was, so the banks, they loan out the money to the economy, to individuals and small businesses based on risk profile. That's your interest rate. So over 90% of the money is not actually at the bank. That's why there's withdrawal limits. It's not actually there. It's loaned out. That's why if there's a run on the bank, like in the Great Depression, the money's not actually there. And so what happened in 2008 was the reserve ratio was way too low and banks got way too risky in terms of them loaning out money. And then they made some complex loans based off of the housing mortgages. That's what was happening. They were giving out mortgages too easily, and a mortgage is just a loan.
Yeah.
So, right, you have the Federal Reserve. They give money out to the banks. Money from the banks goes out to the individuals and the people, and then the government comes in through tax revenues. So there's the flow of money going through the economy through those different parties. money naturally flows to the top. It just naturally does. We all benefit from Apple. We all benefit from Amazon. We all benefit from these corporations. And so because they're doing so much service, wealth naturally accumulates, which is one of the theories behind why you need some sort of tax system to redistribute it, or the Federal Reserve is taking money in and out of the economy because it's supply and demand. Right? When they pumped all the money out, there was so much supply that the demand for the American dollar goes down. That pushes prices up.
Gotcha.
And so they can take money out of the economy and into the economy like so. And so coming back to small businesses and everything, I know that was like a lot and complicated, but I just felt like that was needed to be said. And so coming back to small businesses, like I was saying, if they don't extend that tax cut, it's going to hurt. And then the other thing that Trump did was to incentivize investment into the economy, because the reason I set up that story, it's all about the flow of money. If individuals think taxes are going to go up, they're going to have different spending habits than if they think taxes are going to go down, and vice versa. And the tax laws affect the flow of money through those players that I just told you about, and affect prices. And so what Trump did was to stimulate the flow of money through the economy was something called bonus depreciation, which means if I buy an asset, rather than the tax law dictating I have to depreciate this over 5 or 7 years, depending on the type of asset it is, I can take 100% of this right now. And so let's say we buy and so it's now this gets a little bit more complicated, because now there's tax strategy and there's cash flow strategy. So if I go buy a vehicle over 6,000 pounds, I can write off the entire value of that vehicle for tax advantages. However, I don't have to necessarily pay the cash because I can take a loan out for it.
Oh, what?
But I write out the whole thing. So that Hummer law, that's been around, but that's kind of the same thing with bonus depreciation. You can use that with other things. Let's say I'm starting a small business that does, like, you're starting a kickboxing gym, right?
Yeah.
So you can write off a lot of those assets, 100% depreciation, but maybe not put the cash out, just take out the loan. Rather than having to depreciate it over 5 to 7 years, I can take out all the expense now to offset other forms of income. And so that's already starting to phase out. It used to be 100%. Now it's down to 80%. It's going to phase out over the next few years. So really the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, they want to paint it as, oh, only the rich, but it really helps small businesses a ton. And small businesses is just your neighbor. It's you. It's me at the end of the day, in terms of how much income is actually taxable, and then the amount of write-offs that we're able to get underneath that law.
I think this is a valuable information that we need, and I'm a little more biased than other people. You know what I mean? And you're doing a really good job of just painting the picture of not Trump or Kamala, but the policies and what they're doing and what they have done. I'm a big Trump supporter, for those who know, but I'm not oblivious to the two candidates. And honestly, if she did have some policies that were phenomenal for my pocketbook, even though I don't like her as who she presents herself to be, I would have to make a decision based on the policies that are going to best affect my family and our finances. And right now, Trump, he just I like him. I like his personality. I really do. But his policies really have shown that they are better for the middle class and the rich and the poor, all of us combined. It just is a no-brainer. I can see it. And I think people get so emotional over the personalities that they're willing to take a financial hit just because of their bias or their hate towards an individual. It just that just blows my mind, because I want my money right.
Yeah. And again, Because there was a theory in economics for a long time just about supply and demand and rationality. But the latest economic theory, and we all know this when we think about it for a second, humans are irrational. We
Yeah.
don't buy on rationality. We buy on emotion and then apply logic afterwards.
Yeah.
And so again, it comes down to worldviews. And the reason I said that is because tax policies, similar to what we said with tariffs, it's not in isolation to just tax. There's behavior, there's international strategy. And the reason I brought up the behavior is a lot of people believe in what happened in COVID. They're like, why can't we just send stimulus checks to people? Like we just did it. People didn't understand.
Yeah.
And I was like, the reason you can't do that, one, is inflation. We figured that out. It's a temporary measure. But two, behavior theory. You know, some people that got those stimulus checks, you were making, I think the median income for a family of four, depending on your sources and depending where you live, it's like 70 grand, something like that. We can even just Google it. Median
household income,
family of four, America. Okay, so this is just Google real quick. CNBC, it said U.S. median household income was $80,600 dollars in 2023, right? So that's the median household income. They were sending out, I think it was over 50 grand a year to each person to not work. To not work.
Yeah.
What do you think's gonna happen?
Yeah.
Are you gonna go to work to your job you probably don't really like? Or you're gonna sit at home and play net and like watch Netflix and play video games for 50 grand. It doesn't even take an irrational actor. Every rational person, you know, I know there's jobs provide a lot more than just money, but if you're making 30 grand, 40 grand, that extra 10, 20 grand is a lot of money.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that it comes down to, again, your worldviews. And my worldview is I believe that the federal government has a place. I do believe in some sort of safety net. I believe in unemployment insurance. I believe people go through hard times. I believe it should be as local as possible, but I don't believe in mass redistributions of wealth. I do not believe in that. I believe it decentralizes people. And then I'll add this layer to it along that same topic. In America, like, this is awesome that we get to be on a podcast with all this beautiful equipment. And we have never been more, even with all the inflation, with all the craziness, put me in America all day, every day over any other country. And the reason I bring that up is even with all this craziness, we've never been more materially abundant in the history of Earth.
Yeah.
But we've never been more spiritually deprived. And I think at the end of the day, the root of all of this is a spiritual problem. It's a cultural problem. And in that hierarchy is, I believe, individuals need to have something to work for that's greater than themselves. And we need to have policies that incentivize them to be excited to go build things and manifest things that help themselves feel good about themselves, but help their communities thrive and prosper. And if you're going to tax small businesses and if you're going to tax individuals, that does not incentivize them to do that.
Yeah.
What incentivizes them is the American dream. And I personally have seen, not everybody, but I have personally seen that people that have that work hard like that, they have abundant mindsets, and they're going to give it back in the way they see it.
Yeah.
They're going to provide more jobs. They're going to give to their local nonprofits, to their local churches, to their local schools, but they can't do that. And when we overtax people, we're creating an environment of scarcity and we're creating an environment of fear rather than faith and abundance.
Yeah.
And I personally believe that deep to my soul.
Absolutely. I think that was one of the things that I've noticed is the more money that somebody makes, it will reveal whether they're a good person or a bad person. And money is amoral. It doesn't have, it's not good or bad. And it really is the individual. And if there is somebody who is a good person and they're making more money, they're going to be able to help other people. And there's a saying that I like that's Abraham was blessed, right? And he was blessed to be a blessing. Everywhere he went, he was blessing other people. You know, he had a ton of people that was underneath his not literal tent, but his tent covered so many people, provided jobs, provided all kinds of stuff. And then that was another way of incentivizing people to continue to work and be prosperous, you know.
Yeah.
And I believe that that's something that we need. We need our faith, of course. And regardless of whatever happens, we have to stand on our faith. That's my personal belief.
Mhm.
Because regardless of if it's Trump or Kamala, I feel like there is a little bit of a storm brewing financially in the financial world. I don't know if you're seeing anything of that or sensing that things could get bad. We need to be able to have some hope, stand on faith, and work and strategize so that way we can stay afloat. So what do you see happening if Trump does get in office? Do you think that there's going to be a bumpy road because of the economy the way it is now?
Yeah, and one thing I wanted to add, so we've been talking a lot about small businesses, corporations. I wanted to clarify something. So the freelance economy or the gig economy, let's say you deliver for DoorDash or you drive Uber or you do something like that where you receive a 1099 NEC or non-employment compensation, you're a small business. So a lot of people don't know that. So I wanted to throw that out there. And that part of the economy, even if it's a side gig, let's say you're doing the Favor or the Instacart, you in the eyes of the IRS are a small business. So you also benefit from these tax laws. And I just did a quick Google search. This is from Forbes, May 2024. An estimated 64 million Americans, or 38% of the US workforce, did freelance work last year, up by 4 million people from 2022. And this is from Upwork Research Institute. That means that 38% of the US workforce is a small business that benefits from these tax laws. And if they phase out you driving Uber, you getting doing Instacart, you getting just doing the lawn for your neighbor so you have a side gig small business, your side gig is not going to be able to write off as much and it's going to be taxed to death, like I said, with that extra 15.3% self-employment tax. That is it's going to live on a Schedule C and it's going to be over taxed. So you benefit from this if you're doing that. Getting back to your question here, Jacob, I truly, again, let's take out everything. Let's forget the personalities. I believe that individuals and small businesses, the money is better with them. I don't believe it's better with some government that we don't personally know on a personal level. I believe in taxes, but I don't believe in a lot of taxes. I believe the money's better with people. If you also believe that you can make better decisions with your own money, and you believe that citizens can make better decisions with their own money rather than the government, if you believe that, then Trump's tax laws clearly, whatever source you look at, whether it's left-leaning, right-leaning, or even a governmental source, they all say that Trump's tax laws kept more money in our pockets. And I think that's what it comes down to at the end of the day. And that's an unbiased fact. Looking at all the different sources, we can put faith in these different sources. We've looked at 6 to 7, 8 different sources. They all say that more money was in our pockets, that the revenue, the tax revenue even went up, despite them all predicting it would go down. And so if your worldview is the money is better in the hands of the citizens, you got to go with Trump's tax policies. If you believe that the money is better in the hands of the government and their decision making, then go with Kamala's at the end of the day.
Yeah, no, I think that that's really important, and that's great information. I think that's really what it comes down to. And then also, I want to put your information in this before we end this broadcast. So you pulled it up, right? What's your website?
Yeah, it's TeliosConsultingCo.com.
Telio Consulting Co.
Yeah, so for those of you that are listening, so I am a Christian. I'm a follower of Christ. And so Telios is a biblical term that means complete final form. So when Jesus went on the mountain and had the transfiguration, and Moses was also there and he was shining with the bright light, and Apostle Peter saw him, that was him in his Telios form.
Awesome. And then also, what is the phone number that people can contact? Is it all on the website? Everything?
Yeah, everything's on the website. There's going to be there's a contact form. That's going to be the best way if you want to just kind of fill out your information, and then we'll get on a Zoom call. And right now, if you have a small business, let's say you get a 1099 NEC, or you have a small business, I will do a free 1-hour consult with you, looking at your prior year's tax returns, looking at your accounting information system to make sure everything is efficient. Maybe look at some things that you might have missed in the past that we can start to capture going forward in the future. And Jacob and I actually did something like that, so he can tell you about his experience on what that would look like.
Yeah, it was actually really good. We sat down just a couple days ago. I started a nonprofit, the Ignite Fire Ministries, and then we also started an Ignite. Thankfully, Ignite Fire Media LLC, which we're doing here. And we sat down. You kind of showed me what we were not doing and what we should be doing, and how to do it, which is so beneficial for the success of what we're doing here. And I'm grateful for that. You put together a little bit of QuickBooks and some charting for our equipment and everything that we're doing. So just sitting down for that 1 hour strategizing was priceless. And so I appreciate that. And those who are watching, I tell you, get connected with this guy. Doesn't matter where you're at in the country, because you could just go on the website. Yeah. And get in contact with them, and you can even do it over Zoom, right? And talk to people.
Yeah, 100%. So just in case you are wondering about that, there is a federal layer of tax. So that's the Form 1040 we've been talking about. And then every single state has their different tax legislation as well. But that's the long way of saying it doesn't matter where you're at in the country. We can sit down, we can look at your books, we can make sure that you have an efficient accounting information system. What I mean by that is you're not double counting revenue, you're not counting too much revenue, and you're capturing every single expense possible, and that you're using the tax code to your advantage. Like I said, the tax code's over 80,000 pages long. Amazon, Microsoft, Apple, they have teams of CPAs. I've worked at Ernst & Young. I've worked with corporations. I have the education. I have the experience to be a key player on your team to help your small business keep its money. And I would love nothing more than to be able to help you. And in 1 hour, I can find a lot in 1 hour.
Yeah.
And I would love to do it for free for a few of you guys. If there's a rush, we'll have to figure it out. But yeah, I would love to take a look and make sure that you're saving as much money as possible.
Well, thank you, Lauren, for coming in today. We're coming up on that hour mark. Thank you guys for watching. I think this was so informational. And the question comes down to, for those who are watching, this election really is important. Now, I know that people have gotten emotional every time there's an election time for the last 200 plus years of the United States. But really, right now is the time that we're living in. And I believe that this truly is an important election, and we should be making decisions logically. I know that is contrary to how people feel and what people think. But the question is, were you better in Trump's economy, which was proven for those 4 years, versus the last 3.5 years? And that really is what it comes down to. I believe that Trump does know what he's doing as a businessman. I do believe that he has the American people in mind with these tax laws and what he's doing. And I believe that big business, small business, middle class should be thriving in the United States. This is one of the best countries in the world. I've been to other countries, and like you said, I would rather not be anywhere else than in the United States. There's a lot of issues here. There's a lot of problems here, just like families. Families have problems. Families don't have the best history. Families have people that they don't like and people they don't get along with, but it's still your family. And that's how I feel as an American. There's a lot of people here that I don't agree with, that I don't like, and things that I would rather not have, but this is my home, and I want to protect my home. And regardless if I like you or not, I want to protect your finances. I want to protect mine and thrive, because at the end of the day, we all live in our own separate houses, and we have our own families that we attend to. And I want that the best for all of us, regardless of what you think or believe, or your religion or your creed or color or whatever. So that's that. And so thank you guys for clicking on today's video. Thank you, Lauren, for coming in to the podcast. This was good. We're going to have to do this again, bro.
Yeah,
We're
let's
gonna
go,
have to do this
baby.
again. And guys, don't forget to comment in the comment section. We'll read those even if it's after our live. And also, I'll put in the description Lauren's website and information so you can get in contact with him to get involved with his services. So we love you. God loves you. Until next time, God bless.
God bless.